Hey guys, it's the Movie Buff Pains, and we're back again with another video. This last weekend we finally got to go back to our AMC theater.
Woo!
Yeah, we're so excited about it. So we thought we would do a quick video kind of talking about our experience with all of the restrictions and safety precautions they have in place because of COVID. And then we're also going to briefly talk about the 3 movies that we saw. And yeah, we hope this video will be helpful to you guys as you kind of make your decision about whether or not you want to go back out to the movies.
So I guess first thing to note is, yeah, we did see 3 movies just over this weekend here, but
Yeah.
we are members of AMC's A-List. So, you know, we have that subscription, which gives us, 3 movies per week, which we've always taken full of advantage of.
Yeah, and that's usually what we do is we'll see 3 between Saturday and Sunday, sometimes into Monday. We get them right out of the way during the week.
Yeah.
But yeah, we were super bummed when theaters had to close, obviously understanding of the situation. But it was really great of AMC to immediately pause our A-List membership, which for those of you that don't know, you pay $20 to $23 a month and you can see up to 3 movies a week, which is an awesome deal. And it also includes all of the premium formats, including Dolby Cinema and IMAX, which are 2 formats that we fortunately have here. But yeah, they paused our membership, and then just this last, maybe 2 weeks ago, they sent us an email and said that some theaters were starting to open again, and to take a look and see if a theater near you was opening. And if that was the case, you had the option to reactivate your membership. However, it wasn't required. I think you had until December or something.
You have until December 1st to reactivate. So it's like you don't have to right now, but you will eventually be restarted. But
Yeah.
It gave you a good buffer.
Yeah, and I appreciated that too. They're not just saying just because the theaters are opening, you have to reactivate your membership and immediately start paying again and risk, losing your membership if you don't choose to do so. Because obviously, different parts of the United States, things are different. A lot of places theaters still aren't open. I mean, we've had a few local chains open up, but this is the first week that I think AMC and Regal are opening in our area. So
yeah, now all the major competitors are starting to slowly open back up.
So first thing I kind of wanted to go over was the selection of movies that were available to us. Obviously this will vary based on where you live, but we had a few new release films open up, and then they also brought back a lot of classics. I know they had Back to the Future, and I don't know, what were some of the other ones?
Back to the Future, Empire Strikes Back, Goonies.
Yeah.
Some of the recent releases from earlier this year, like Invisible Man, Bloodshot. It just kind of varied theater to theater, but yeah, they kind of had a good mix of the releases from the beginning of the year and a lot of just good classic movies.
Yeah, and then they also have the anniversary release of Inception in theaters, kind of to get people excited about Tenet. So as far as our experience, I'd say overall it was incredibly positive.
Definitely.
Again, this is something that will vary on your theater, but I just want to give my overall view and opinion on how our AMC handled it, which hopefully is about the same across the board. First thing is they're limiting all of their theaters to 40% capacity. Originally it was 30%. I guess they changed their mind somewhere in there and decided to up it.
They probably realized that they were cutting off too many seats just for the profit of it. But 40% isn't too much of a hike. At least they didn't go to 60 or 70 somehow.
Yeah. And then in the theaters, some of our theaters have recliners and some of them do not. For the theaters that don't have recliners, every other row is blocked off. So you're not going to have someone either immediately in front of you or immediately behind you.
Definitely, I liked that buffer too. It definitely felt a lot safer that way. Plus, if you wanted to prop your feet up on the seat in front of you, it wasn't a bother.
And then in theaters that had recliners, it was, just basically the beside you buffer, because there's already so much space between the rows, at least in our theater, between the recliners. But yeah, when you select a seat in the AMC app, it kind of automatically blocks off the surrounding seats, which is a really cool feature. I liked that they did that. It wasn't like that at the very start, but they added that feature on, which I thought was good.
Yeah.
So then, if someone not from your party wants to purchase a ticket, they can't buy the seat right next to you or right in front of you or right behind you, unless it's in a theater that doesn't have much spacing between the rows, because then there won't be anyone behind you or in front of you. So that was really nice. I think it's smart the way they've handled that on their app. And for those of you that are concerned about, going to see movies with your friends and family that also have A-list, definitely take advantage of the A-list entourage feature, which we hadn't done before, but it allows you to purchase multiple tickets for multiple people that have an A-list membership. So then you don't have to separate them out and then risk having to sit like several seats apart or wasting all of those seats in the theater. Because I could just select 2 tickets, I could buy 2 seats for the 2 of us and use our A-list memberships. So that was really nice.
Yeah, overall the buffering was very nice. I mean, already you have the rows ahead and behind you, but even just to the side, I mean, even having that 1 seat of space definitely helped, ease my mind a little bit and having anyone near us.
So the first movie we went and saw it at about 7:30 p.m. on a Saturday night. So we knew that this would kind of be the test of when it's usually very busy at the theater. When we arrived, it wasn't too terribly busy. There were a few people in the lobby purchasing tickets, a few people in line to purchase concessions, but beyond that, there weren't large crowds of people loitering about the theater like there usually is. And that could just be because a lot of people don't know that the theater is open or they're nervous to go back, various factors. But overall, it wasn't too busy. The first movie we saw was in a small theater, probably one of the smallest theaters in the entire complex. There were probably only, 5 or 6 rows in the entire theater. It was a small one.
Yeah, it was incredibly tiny.
So there were about 10 to 12 people total, including us. And no one was anywhere near us, so I was really comfortable with that. I did notice that a lot of people didn't wear their masks during the movie, but again, they were so far away, it wasn't a huge deal. Real quick, the rule is that you're supposed to wear your mask the entire time you're there unless you're eating or drinking. But, once you're in the theater, I don't know how they're really going to enforce that.
Yeah, I mean, and it's either you're kidding yourself and just don't want to wear a mask, or somehow you are the slowest eater in the world. Because I don't know how you could make like a box of candy and a tub of or a bag of popcorn last like a 2-hour film. Like, I think most all of us finish it off before the previews are even over, right?
Yeah. But honestly, with how far away people were, I was comfortable with people not wearing their masks because they were well over 6 feet away from us.
Oh yeah, it was like we were sitting over on an aisle on one side, and then like there were people down in the middle near the front, and then there were people off on the complete opposite side of us and like 3 rows back or whatever. So it was definitely so much space between us all.
Yeah, so that wasn't bad. I think if maybe there was someone like 1 seat away from us and they weren't wearing their mask, I would have been uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of signs saying that you can go to team members and talk about your seat if you're like uncomfortable with it. Like, you can get up and go and talk to someone, see about sitting somewhere else. Because obviously there's reserved seating at our theater, but it seems like they're going to be pretty lenient with like as far as that, just so that you can feel safe, and I think that's great.
Yeah.
So one of the new rules with the concessions is they're not doing any refills right now, and they've greatly limited their menu. We don't get snacks that much just because they're so awfully expensive, but they basically just have popcorn, drinks, candy, none of the like cooked food that they normally do. I think they might just have like hot dogs or something.
Hot dogs and nachos, basically anything. If it can either be thrown in a microwave or on the rollers really quick, like as long as it doesn't take having to throw it in an oven.
Yeah, as long as it doesn't take a lot of preparation time, I think is the thing. And you can also order your snacks before you get there on the app so that they're ready to go as soon as you get to the theater. Also, our theater has a Coke Freestyle machine, and normally you can just go up and fill up your own drink. That was not the case at our theater. They had an employee standing there. It was roped off, and you couldn't fill up your own drink. They would just fill it up for you. And that worked out okay, and it was nice because that's kind of a place where there's a lot of people touching it, and that would be kind of gross to touch anyways, so
yeah,
I was all right with that. Another thing I noticed is they had a lot of hand sanitizer stations throughout the theater, and then at the entryway to each theater there was a case of disinfectant wipes, so you could go in and you can wipe down like your own little area. I thought that was really nice. Definitely a nice feature to help us feel extra safe.
Definitely, they're giving everyone the opportunity every chance possible to be as clean as they can in a public environment like this.
All right, so I think we kind of went over all of the safety features that we noticed while we were there. If I think of any more, during the rest of the video, I'll let you guys know. But we'll quickly talk about the 3 movies that we decided to see this weekend. Okay, so the first movie we saw was Words on Bathroom Walls, starring Charlie Plummer and Taylor Russell. Up until about 2 weeks ago, I had heard absolutely nothing about this movie, but it's kind of touted as the first wide release film for this week as theaters are opening. Sorry, our cats are fighting, of course. This film follows a teenager named Adam who is diagnosed with schizophrenia halfway through his senior year of high school, and how he kind of deals with that and works through like relationships and just being a teenager, in general. And I obviously am very interested in topics like this. I went to school for psychology. I work in a psychiatric unit, so it's something that I'm very familiar with. And I'd say it's a very difficult subject to tackle in film, and most of the time it's not done right. It's either done very dramatically, like really over the top, or offensively, or just not really accurately at all. But I feel like this film did a really good job of depicting what it would be like to have schizophrenia. Of course, I don't know firsthand, but I have experienced lots of people that have schizophrenia in my life and in my work. And I felt like it was a really insightful look into what it might be like, because you get to actually experience Adam's hallucinations and his delusions along with him. You see them visually in the film, and I thought it was really insightful. And there are times where he was having one of his episodes and you could really feel for him, and you felt just as stressed and scared as he probably did. And I think they did a really good job with that. And it's also just a really good coming of age film in general, and how just being a teenager is hard enough, let alone throw in a mental illness in there. And I thought the performances were great, especially from Charlie Plummer. He was just absolutely fantastic. And I was really blown away by this movie because, again, I knew nothing about it up until about 2 weeks ago, and I was really pleasantly surprised with this one.
Yeah, I think my favorite thing was that they really developed the characters well.
Yeah.
Which I think is very important in something like this kind of movie. It's kind of more of a coming-of-age movie, like you said, is that you need to really be able to connect with the characters, and you need to kind of see what they're dealing with, and having layers is always great with them. And yeah, I thought it was just really well done. And yes, getting to see Adam and what he saw from his perspective was really, really something. It really did. I really sat there thinking about, could this at all be what it's like for people that deal with this? And it was great to watch. Honestly, I really, really enjoyed it.
Yeah, so this film I'd easily give a 4.5 out of 5.
Same.
My only flaw with it is I didn't love the ending. It was a little cheesy and melodramatic, but
yeah.
I mean, it's kind of the Hollywood way on how to end a movie like this, but overall I did really enjoy it.
Me too.
The next movie we saw was actually in IMAX, which is really cool to get back to an IMAX screen, and that was the sequel to Train to Busan Peninsula.
Yeah, this was really fun to see, and yeah, IMAX, that was a treat to be able to go back to such a large screen. This particular showing was the busiest of the 3 that we saw.
It was the only one that showed as sold out on the app, meaning it was at 40% capacity.
But you still had the buffering aisles, so ahead of you and behind you. We did have someone that was only a seat away at this particular one because it was sold out. But, even with that small buffer, I still felt pretty good. And I think with it being as full as it was, I think people were a lot more conscious for the most part about, keeping to themselves, making sure they have their masks when possible.
Yeah.
Definitely not trying to try and interact with anyone any more than they needed to.
Yeah, I was mostly impressed with how respectful people were. When normally I think people are really rude and invasive in movie theaters, and they really get on my nerves. So.
The good thing to come out of all of this, I guess, people are actually being respectful at the theaters. Hallelujah.
Yeah, I absolutely hate sitting next to people at the theater, so that has been a nice takeaway from all of this. But as far as the movie itself, I don't know if I've just been really out of touch with new release movies, but this was another one that I hadn't known was coming out.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, I knew that there was going to be a sequel, but then it just kind of appeared, and I was like, oh, okay.
I guess that's true. By the time we hear about it over here, usually it's like, oh, guess what? Next month is coming a sequel to this movie. It's like, wait,
Yeah.
when did that come? It's like, oh, well, it came out 6 months ago in, the other country, so.
Yeah. But we rewatched Train to Busan earlier this week, and we love that movie. It's a really well done zombie film. We were kind of talking about how it's a really good, like, entry level movie if you want to get into foreign films, because it's not, too dialogue driven or too complex of a plot. It's just one that you could sit down and watch and enjoy.
Yeah.
And I feel like people that I've recommended movies to before are like, oh, well, I don't like movies with subtitles, but then they watch Train to Busan and they're like, oh, that one was actually really good. And it's just a really easy one to sit down and watch.
Definitely.
And yeah, if you've seen Train to Busan, you know that it's a very horror-driven zombie film. Very claustrophobic, all set on the train. Peninsula, I feel like it was less of a horror film, and it had less to do with the zombies and a lot more to do with the people. I kind of related it to some of the later seasons of The Walking Dead, where you're dealing with kind of the politics and the craziness of the people that are around during a zombie apocalypse.
If Train to Busan is a horror movie, like a zombie horror, I would say Peninsula is more like zombie action in a way. That's what I would probably say.
I felt like it was a lot more action-y, a lot more thriller level. And I guess I should say Peninsula doesn't involve any of the same characters from the first film.
No.
And it takes place 4 years after the events of Train to Busan. And this group of people are going back to the peninsula. They have since gone on to Hong Kong. These are some people that have escaped the apocalypse over in Korea. And they're going back to the peninsula to retrieve a truck full of cash for some kind of bad people. But they are good people that are going over, and it's kind of their journey and what they encounter while they are in the peninsula, which is still full of zombies, but also just some other people that they have to interact with.
Yeah, and while you're absolutely right, it's definitely more human-centric in this one, but there is definitely still a good amount of zombies to deal with, and zombies definitely are part of the action and everything.
Yeah.
So it's very much still enjoyable to watch, especially since in this particular movie universe, the zombies are fast.
Yeah, they're really scary.
I like fast zombies. Like slow zombies, you're like, oh, well, I'll just walk away at a brisk pace. Whereas fast zombies,
you're lucky if you can outrun them. And I feel like this movie didn't hold back on the gore or the violence at all. There was a lot of blood. A lot more than you even see in like a Hollywood blockbuster, which I appreciated. And again, it wasn't anywhere near the level of Train to Busan, but I feel like if you look at them almost separately, you can enjoy them both for what they are.
Definitely.
I think that they're both enjoyable in their own ways.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was very enjoyable. And yeah, if you consider it separately, I think it is a very, it's a fun zombie film to watch. Definitely.
Yeah. And this one I would probably give a 4 out of 5. Maybe a little closer to 3.5, but overall I just enjoyed it a lot, so I'd give it a 4.
I'm around the same area. I think I rated it a 4, so I agree with that.
Yeah, and I do think it's worth seeing in IMAX if you guys get the opportunity.
Yeah, definitely. It is
That's
great.
Some great sound design, fun action, really cool to see on a giant screen, so yeah.
Before we get to the final film, everyone can say hi to Kiwi if you can see her back there. Hey, sweetie.
I was wondering if she was up there. All of our cats are floating around. So we have 6 of them. They're always around.
Yeah.
But hey, we've got to have someone to watch movies with, right?
Right.
We may not have any friends, but we have 6 cats. I'm just kidding, mostly. Anyways, the last movie we saw was Unhinged, starring Russell Crowe. This one I've been hearing about for a while. They've kind of been touting it as like the big return to cinemas. Kind of a low budget, more of an indie level budget, but still, it stars Russell Crowe.
Yeah.
So yeah, they've been touting this one for a while, and so I was looking forward to seeing it. And yeah, what did you think of it?
I thought it was fun, definitely. It's, kind of a middle ground movie. It kind of felt like it could almost have been one of those like direct to disc movies, maybe in a way.
Definitely.
But I definitely liked seeing it on the big screen, and I thought Russell Crowe was really good in it. I mean, I've never seen him do like full on menace before in any role.
Real quick, to give you some background into the plot, Russell Crowe is just basically this very unhinged dude who's just having a terrible time in life, and this lady and her son are driving and they're in a rush, and she happens to honk at him and kind of shows a little bit of road rage and doesn't show any remorse for doing it, which, like, who wouldn't? I mean, I honk at people all the time.
Yeah.
But it just so happened that she honked at the wrong dude for sure, because he made it his goal in life to make her day absolutely miserable.
Yeah, basically was like, oh, well, it's like, you've pissed me off, and so now I'm going to make your life a living hell.
Yeah, and it takes that to the very extreme.
Very
like,
much.
I was very surprised how mean-spirited this movie was. Like, it didn't hold any punches. Like, it just was very mean and dirty and just to the point.
No, definitely. And again, Russell Crowe, good performance out of him. I was impressed.
It was different than anything I had seen him in before. But I would agree, it had a lot more of a B-movie feel, which was okay, because, like, we hadn't been to the movies in a while,
yeah.
So it kind of fit the bill.
Well, we'll take anything at this point, man. Just anything.
Yeah, had it come out, like, during, like, the big summer blockbuster season, we probably would have been like, wow, that movie was terrible.
Yeah.
But for what it was enjoyable, and it kind of was reminiscent to me of some of, like, the exploitation films of the 70s and 80s, where they're just mean and down and dirty and just kind of don't pull any punches.
You're a lot more in tune with those movies, but from the ones you've shown me, I can definitely see that now that I think about that.
Yeah, and I could definitely see some audiences being offended by it, because, I mean, it was mean.
That's true. If you were
really what it was.
If you went and watched it, some people would be like, "Why is he doing this?" Yeah. It's like, it was just a honk at the light. It's like, why would he do this?
It's not a fun, like, family-friendly Russell Crowe flick to go see. But if you're used to that kind of, like, exploitation, like, gore and violence, like, I think that you could probably appreciate it. And again, it's not anything amazing. It doesn't have, like, great writing or even great performances. I mean, it's a fun performance from Russell Crowe. I wouldn't say it was anything great.
Yeah.
But again, if you're just looking for a good way to pass an hour and a half, I definitely think that it was worth it. And it's something fun to see at the theater right now, because I think it opened pretty much everywhere. So it's something you can go and see.
And this showing was very similar is very similar to the first movie with Words on Bathroom Walls. There was probably only 10 to 12 people in that showing as well, and everyone spread out.
Yeah, it was a much
insanely.
larger theater, so we were very spread out, and yeah, I felt pretty comfortable.
Oh yeah, I mean, the nearest people to us had to be at least 20 feet away, if not more.
Yeah, probably more than that. So, but yeah, that movie I would probably give a 3 out of 5, just because it really was entertaining.
3 to 3.5 for me. I haven't quite settled, but I mean, it was definitely enjoyable. If you want something just to watch, and you want to
turn your brain off, munch down on popcorn, and pretend we're not in the middle of a pandemic type movie, then sure.
That's the one.
Yeah, that is the one to go with. But yeah, overall, it was a pretty good return to the movies for us. We had a really positive experience with AMC. I was overall impressed with the staff and the cleanliness of the building and kind of the procedures that they had in place. I know not everyone's going to be in a position to go back to the movies, and I totally understand if you're against it for any reason, or if your theaters aren't open yet. I feel for you, that sucks. But yeah, overall, it was a good experience, and we were very happy with it.
And again, like we said before, everyone that was there was definitely more cautious and courteous and all around better than they normally would be before all of this.
So hopefully it stays that way, because we've got some bigger movies coming out this next week, so hopefully we can have a similar experience going forward. But yeah, we're going to go see both The New Mutants and Tenet in Dolby Cinema, which we didn't get to experience last weekend, so hopefully the Dolby Cinema Theater is a similar experience for us.
Definitely.
It has recliners and whatnot, but yeah, definitely looking forward to that. If you guys have gone back to the movies, let us know what you guys have seen. Are you impressed or not impressed with your local theaters? Are they doing a good job in keeping things safe for our current times? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, and thanks so much for supporting our channel. We appreciate it as always.
Thank you guys so much, and we'll see you on the next one.
See ya.